Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League American GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me in the commentary booth tonight is Austin Knight with Sam Kumo on the cameras. We're here for the penultimate round of the season at sunny Sebring. Austin, fantastic host for this penultimate round of the season. We have this one and then another Florida round, Daytona for the season finale. It's fantastic to be back here at Sebring, and well, we're still a couple of months away from it, but a little bit of a preparation for the 12 hours of Sebring coming up.
Yeah, the endurance enthusiasts are going to love these last two rounds. Here we are at Sebring, wonderful, shiny Florida for the final two rounds. Here at Sebring, then Daytona, and which Daytona 24 hours will be the next week, and we'll have Daytona 2.4. Well, I believe that was already happening. But Daytona immediately after the 24 is going to be a very experienced field, and it's going to be the tightest competition we had of all year. But here we are at Sebring, and it's going to be even more crazy.
Absolutely. So just a bit of a reminder, today we've got the GTE and we've got the GT3 classes, each of them with their Pro and Am championships, along with their Teams championship as well. And we do have the points as well. These are the points without a drop score, so 7 rounds this season. This round 6. They do get 1 drop score across the season. Mark Fletcher and Tom McMahon at the head of the GTE standings, at 19 points between the two of them. They've both missed a round, so their drop score is exactly the same. Cam Dance just a little bit behind. He hasn't missed a round, so that means that his drop score is a little bit further back. However, he's certainly still in the mix. Perhaps we've seen plenty of different race wins in that class. James Salt with a decent advantage in the AM standings there, ahead of Simon Underhill, although Bob Humphrey also still in the mix, so he's all very close in that GT standings. In the GT3s, Mike Horder has managed to forge himself a little bit of a lead now. However, on drop score points, he's actually behind Scott Brazier, despite the fact that you see Brazier quite a few points behind. Brazier missing around earlier on in the season, so his drop score isn't too bad. Adam Hedgecock, good run of form for him recently. He's in 3rd place, and hopefully we'll see Alessandro Dalladone take to the grid as well today. Top of the amateur categories, and that is Tristan Marks with Sutherland and Pets. Very close. Pretty spoiled, I must say, Austin, to have such a tight championship at this stage. Often we see it a little bit decided by now. But, I mean, in terms of the amount of race winners, I think we've had at least 4 different race winners in each of the classes. So it's been really positive so far. I think just losing Austin for a second there, but into the last one. Oh, apologies. There you go. I was just saying how competitive the championships is, so it'll be something to talk about for these next couple of rounds of the championship, and it's been quite incredible how many different race winners we've seen.
Yeah, almost every week we're seeing new race winners, and it's getting to a point where I've lost track of who's won it and who hasn't won it or been on the podium, because every week has just been so close. It's so fun at the very top of it, and I can't wait to see what these ending 2 rounds are going to bring us.
Absolutely, really. Do you have an idea of who's going to win? Let us know on the CFE fan clubs out there. No Lewis Wall out here today, I think so. He always has the best fan club and does it. Although he never gives us an interview. Hope he was in another series. By the way, in terms of hopefully we see him back, choose to use 19 GT3 championship of the GT3. I was watching this back for making this series. Fantastic, really good participation at this season. So the Mustang and Nuggets, and thanks.
All right, here is our starting grid. Starting pole on GTEs is Mark Fletcher, followed up by Christian McHale, Cameron Dance, Tom McMahon, Lewis Bibby, Bob Humphrey, James Salt, Aaron Powell, Andrew S. Brown, Tiago Lorio, Jason Hodgson, and Simon Underhill in P12, followed up by Kev Copland, Joseph Saul, and Seb Raw at the end of the GTE grid. Starting pole on the GT3s is Scott Brazier, Ignacio Hortel, Adam Hedgecock, Mike Horder, Tristan Marks, Bob Boldland, John Roberts, Jacob Boschoff, Anthony Pisano, Rob Sutherland, Ryan D. Walker in 11th, And following up in P12 is Craig Jones, Tom Stevens, Dave Petts, Sean Gardner, John Ritter, James Liggett, Timo Wigarski, and Lee Woodburn in P19.
Yeah, as we were saying before, still many drivers part in this, and yeah, this pace lap about underway. Of course, it's an so we have the full pace lap. Daytona, strangely, not having the full pace, but this, absolutely. So, as I may have to drop it out again.
Yeah, full pace lap is being held here at Sebring. Sorry that we're just hopping between commentators right now, having a little small technical issues with Sam's laptop. But a full pace lap, a lovely view of this wonderful air-based turn speedway, so it's going to be very bumpy, and it's a much different racing surface than a lot of drivers are used to. So expect the suspension to be a lot higher, because you can already see some of the cars bouncing up and down from the undulations in the front straight. As they're coming around the first corner, that actually switches tarmac. So all these guys are going to be dealing with different setups and stuff, because these curves are just very killer. Sam, what do you think about this track?
Yeah, it is a massive challenge, these curves, and also the bumps as well. Really unique surface, this, of course, very much of an old school circuit. Fantastic to, of course, be around this place. And it's a different challenge for these guys. Some high-speed corners, some decently long straights, and some very slow-speed corners as well. So expect a few mistakes out there. And, yeah, it could be a troublesome event for a couple of these guys.
Yeah, the event's definitely going to... It's going to be a very interesting one, especially at the front of each field, especially in the opening sectors, because you got that tight, twisty section at the end of turn 2, which just leads to that chicane area, and then the final corner at the end of that long straight is going to be a even bigger gaggle of cars, because it's kind of a hairpin. Corner I'm talking about is this corner that the GT3s are in.
Yeah, it's yeah, quite a tricky corner, that one, and perhaps you could see some overtakes around various parts of this circuit. There's not really an obvious place necessarily to overtake. It's not exactly a Monza, for example, where you got the few chicanes where each one of them is very possible to make a move gun. So you got to be pretty selective about it. Not much turbulence in these cuts, so you should be able to keep nice and close through these sections of corners. But yeah, it could be a little bit tricky on the brakes, specifically down into Sunset Bend and Turn 1. That's going to be some brave moves if drivers are going to go for that.
Yeah, definitely some cars to watch out for are those cars in the second row. You see these guys like to be a little bit excited at the start of the race, and we might see a few jump starts for them, or try to attempt to jump the start for the second row. I believe I've seen Tom McMahon or Cameron Dance pull off the front row start jump, so keep your eyes on them. I believe both of them have actually done it. As the front pack is getting closer and closer to the final hairpin, letting the pace car pull away from them and get into the pit lane. They're coming up side by side through the final corner. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time. We're about to go racing here in the American GT Championship.
Fletcher gets his foot down on the throttle. Very good start for him straight away. Pulls away from the likes of Mickle and Dance. Is there going to be some side-by-side going into turn 1? The Fitside Joe's almost line astern. However, McMahon managing to keep that 4th place. That's very important for his championship challenge. Dutz might even have a gut make or perhaps into turn 2, but doesn't go for it. Underhill. Good start getting past Hodgson. In the GT3s, Hedgecock getting ahead of Hortel already. So that's massive for the championship. Brazier pulling away out in the lead. However, I think they're still side-by-side in that class.
Side by side for P2, almost going 3 wide for P2 as Brazier just gets a great launch, followed up by Hortel and Hedgecock filling out the field as they're a more wider variant heading in through turn 1 and into the course, side by side through turn 2. Little bit of bumping action in the background. One of the boosted cars getting pushed around. I believe that was Roberts getting a little bit of tap and had to go onto the grass. Oh no! UMR 25 car almost getting turned around by Sutherland, I believe. I think Sam had to go. 3 wide of that corner, very tight for all these GT3 cars. A lot of Mercedes in the car, a few Ferraris in the field. Actually, just one Ferrari. That would be Craig Jones in that Ferrari. A few BMWs, but I think they're... Oh, that's Andreas Brown going slow down the straight. Did you get a slowdown or just a bad exit? Just slow down penalty. Back up the front into the GTE category. Mark Fletcher leading out Mikkel and Dance. And going way off the track, that's Bibby in 5th place. Interesting team name for Lewis Bibby. But top 6 of the GTE field have already pulled away from the rest of the guys. And we'll be mainly looking at these guys for the first sprint race of today. And we got a crash in the GT3 category. Oh, that's John Roberts who's gone into the tire barrier. Let's get a replay up there. John Roberts was sitting in 5th place. 6th place. Just gets on the grass, loses control, and oh, hard into the wall. Kept off the track though. And he's now back on in 18th. On board Rob Sutherland as he's chasing down Stevens. Mercedes in a row for the GT3 class. You just hear these tires struggling for grip. First race is 20 minutes, second race is 40 minutes if you are not used to this series. Second race. Ooh, great run by Sutherland as Walker and Stevens kind of get held up on each other as they fly down the back straight. Here goes Stevens on Walker. And Sutherland's going to join him as well. They're riding in the draft. They're flying down and they both get Walker. Walker falls down 2 spots. Can he? Let's see if Walker's going to try anything. He's going to try to swing it around the outside and get a run on him going down the front straight. Unable to get a run does Walker. And back for P2, it's Porter, Hortel, and Boland. These 3 racing extremely close to each other. But the leader, Brazier, is kind of flown away with it in this Audi. And ooh, Hortal giving Porter a bit of a bump, and he's going to pass him right there. Very cheeky going into that braking zone by Hortal when he takes up P2.
Sorry about those couple of issues, but yeah, Hortel with a crucial move, getting back then up into second position, where I believe he started the race, actually did Hortel, so that's very significant for him. Still only just ahead of Hortal, absolutely right. Breezer running away with this one. He's won a few races so far this season as Breezer, but he's been far from dominant this season, very much still in the championship hunts though. Out in the lead of the GTEs, Mark Fletcher not pulling away one bit, of course one of the frontrunners in the World GT Championship, which of course will be getting back underway in about 6 weeks time, maybe even more than that. But whilst that's off, he's certainly doing very well in this race, but failing to pull away from the Texans Fitstone Motorsports drivers of Christian Mickel and Cam Dance, as both side by side with Hedgecock. I think this is Martz going alongside him. Hedgecock going to have to leave a lot of room, hits a fefew cones. That's an alternative line. You've got to be so careful in that situation. You don't hit a bump that perhaps you haven't hit for a few laps, but I think he did a pretty good job of avoiding anything there.
Yeah, a few cones were unfortunately murdered right there. Tristan Martins right now in the battle for P5 in the GT3s. Bassano's actually checking out right there. That's Hedgecock and Beauchamp with him in that battle. And his Audi is a lot more nimbler than these Mercedes, but not as powerful. But if you just get the setup right, that Audi, your car will fly. As we can see with Scott Bryce here, who's pulled out a 3-second gap, I believe, to the rest of the field, or 5-second actually.
Yeah, that's insane, that gap. He's the only guy in that class below the 2-minute mark. He's even only a couple of seconds off some of the midfield drivers in the GTE class, such as his pace, Scott Grazer. So he must have a brilliant set on that machine, and would not bet against him perhaps getting the double. Getting involved in a couple of collisions so far this season, however, like I said before, won a few races, so one of the men to beat undoubtedly in this championship, as Hodgson currently battling here with James Saltz. Saltz, of course, top of the amateur standings. He's just behind at the moment Simon Underhill. He's second place in the amateur standings. So if he could at least stay in touch of Underhill, that wouldn't be too many points lost. And we're likely to get a reverse grid, which would be more than 10. And so Salt would be fancying his chances of perhaps starting high up on the grid for race 2. Pretty good attrition rate so far. Only the one retiree in the GTE class. And that one was pretty near the start of the race, Sebring, who actually is still going on. He's 1 lap down, however, is the 99 car.
Yeah, I believe I saw Seb Rose starting from the pit lane.
Ah, he's now disconnected from the session. So having a few issues there is Seb. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, started in last place anyway, I think, from the pits. Hopefully we'll see him back for race 2. We'll be eligible for that one if he wishes to take part.
Yeah, hopefully he's back in the last races. It's always nice to have a full grid. It's always nice to see these guys improve week after week and see these storylines forming throughout the season. But speaking of storylines, just this GT3 battle for P2 is just absolutely insane. It's what's also giving Brazier this massive lead. These guys are just fighting it out tooth and nail right now.
Yeah, they really want to take these positions, but of course, as I was saying earlier on, there's not too many obvious overtaking spots here at Sebring. Perhaps you got that right-hand hairpin that we were talking about earlier on. However, you just get the car stopped on the inside, then it's pretty much impossible to go around the outside unless you've got a lot of faith against your opposition. So, not too much that Mike Horder can do at the moment. Boland's just sitting behind as well, another Sim Racers World GT driver, very successful in that series over the seasons. Hedgecock under massive pressure now from Mart again, although just as I say that he separate a little bit. However, Hedgecock running a little bit wide there, and Mart is going to try to take this really arcing line going on to the back straight, trying to absolutely get on the throttle as soon as possible. The Audi grunt should help him a little bit, unless the BMW running a little bit less downforce potentially. That could well be the case, because the 35 car, having to stick in this toe for a while before being able to pull out, goes down the inside into Sunset Bend. Hedgecock not going as well as we saw, a couple of laps to go, and then turning into his rival, perhaps running on a single screen, ever so difficult with a wide circuit like this when fighting side by side. And now he's going to try to respond straight away to the outside into turn one. Not going to have too much luck around there, I imagine. However, he carries a lot of speed through, does Hedgecock. He's going to have the outside line for the next corner as well, so he has to get well and truly clear. And I think he's going to have to probably give up on this attempted move and probably look behind him so he doesn't lose another place. Just the way that these first few corners are positions always gives the advantage to the inside driver. And yeah, Hedgecock just about backs down. But absolutely, you're absolutely right, Austin. He did a good job of defending that as long as he did.
Also, Jacob Boshoff, he's joined up there with these guys. I thought he was going to try to steal a move up there. He might try to steal a move on Hedgecock heading into this hairpin, give him a little bit of a bump. And, oh, I think it just did.
Yeah, massive concertina there.
So close to each other. Front nose to gearbox all the way was Hedgecock and Martz.
Underhill. Is he defending here against Salts? So like I was saying before, Salts at the top of the amateur standings in the GTE class, Underhill second place. Underhill wants to win this title. He's really got to take some points off straight away. However, the Ford driver with a worse run coming out to Sunset Bend. However, we saw earlier on, if you can get the inside for turn 1, then you'll have the inside for 2, and crucially turn 4 as well. But I don't think that even matters for Underhill, because he's already got that move covered. Will there be a late move perhaps from Salt as the track really narrows down? And these two losing each other a little bit of time, and you can see now the Radicals driver just behind of Jason Hodgson wants to get involved, and also Andrew Brown as well.
Yeah, these two are just licking their lips, ready to attack on the two battling Underhill and Salt. Here comes Salt, sending a dummy move down the inside. We saw Underhill react to it, going to the brakes a little bit too early. They got off of him, so Salt is getting into the minds of Underhill.
Now, I guess even if Salt isn't making this move right now, at least he's helping out his teammate just ahead of Thiago Loureiro, pull out a little bit of a gap. Big gap, actually, between Aaron Powell, car number 12, and Loureiro, 44. 7th and 8th place, about 4.5 seconds, you can see. The empty space. These two also a bit by themselves. Bibby and Humphrey separated by 5 seconds, and then you got Humphrey and Powell having a bit of a duel completely by themselves. But keeping it clean at the moment, and one of the cleaner races we've seen this season after a few massive contacts on lap 1. No such issues so far in this event. Still very close for the leads. Fletcher, only 0.3 of a second now ahead of Christian Mickel, who did win a round, I believe, at Watkins Glen. Really could have brought himself back into the championship fray if he'd been able to convert a 3rd place as he was running at Watkins Glen before he crashed out of the race, unfortunately. Or as Hedgecock is into the wall.
Oh, very unfortunate for Hedgecock, ending up in the wall after that tight right-hander. What has happened? We saw him in a fight with
Bofshov, I guess.
Yeah, Boshoff laid on the brakes just to get onto the curb. Oh,
that was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
I think he had a bit of a tink slap, and the car just kept the weight going onto one side, and he ended up into the wall. There wasn't any contact that I could see.
No. Didn't even seem as though he kind of hit a bump awkwardly and spun round. I just maybe not a whole lot of confidence in that setup. The rear wing does go very light round there, to be fair. Yeah, that's really disappointing for Hedgecock, and if he wants to win the championship, that is not what he needed whatsoever. He really needed a perfect end to this season. However, he needs to make sure he finishes within 1 lap of his GT3 leaders, and so he still might get within the reverse grid. However, that's not looking too good for him at the moment with the damage he's got. Sutherland, long way rounds against Tom Stevens. I think a new driver to the series as well, Tom Stevens, one of the academy drivers for Evo SR. and all the academy drivers are very good. They always challenge the senior drivers when Evo starts. So Stevens, yeah, doing quite well at the moment.
Oh, Solo's got a good run coming out of that corner across the bend and heading up to the hairpin. Underneath the Mobile 1 bridge, he is setting up for a move. Who's going to be the last lane breakers for P8? Southern sends it out the brakes, and Southern gets up into P8. What a move from Rob Sutherland right there.
I thought he'd outbraked himself a little bit there, but the ABS system on this car so effective, and he managed to get it stopped. I was worrying a little bit that Stevens maybe going a little bit too deep as well for that one, but no, not tapping the rear end of his rival. And yeah, Sutherland gains a place. It'd be significant in terms of getting within the reverse grid wheel. I think the smallest we get in this GT3 class is about 13, if I'm correct. I did write the rules, so I ought to know, but it's about 13. We'll find out in a minute, because we're coming to the end of this race quite soon. We've only got a couple more laps to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes remain here at Sebring. A very wide line from Ryan D. Walker. Use that run up to gain a good amount on Stevens, but he will not catch him at the end of the straight.
Craig Jones 1 second further back, and Dave Petts as well. They're a little bit by themselves at the moment, but you can see how everyone's quite competitive. I think a little bit of side by side now between Martz and Boshoff. This is Boshoff defending against Martz. Martz getting stopped on the mid corner there. That was good driving there from Boshoff. If he was a little bit quicker there, Martz may have been able to get the undercuts. Martz almost goes into the back of his rival. It's all over the place at the moment, but he certainly looks a lot faster does the 95 car.
Yeah, Bosch has been very good on defense, but Martz just all over the place. I think there may have been a little bit of drama into that braking zone. He wanted to go one place, but Bosch stayed there, and he had to commit to different line to avoid contact between the two.
Apologies to Boshoff. He was actually the one who was making the move just previously, so trying to pull away. So too is trying to make the move is Andrew Brown, who we were talking a little bit about earlier on. Has a good pace, gets past Jason Hodgson. That was all quite simple. We thought Hodgson would put up a bit more of a fight at this late stage in the race, but like I said before, the reverse grid, further down you finish, perhaps further up you start the next race. So not absolutely do all or end all. Underhill. He's either under pressure or he's absolutely on the back end of the Evo SR drivers, and he now taps round Thiago Loureiro. Loureiro must have made a mistake, because he was 3 seconds up the road previously, was caught by Underhill, and then Underhill with a mistake there, and now Thiago Loureiro is way off the circuit.
Well, I believe that answered your question, that he was definitely on the back end of Loureiro and then some. Very unfortunate for Thiago Loureiro. I think Underhill and Salt, their pace, their battle together, they upped their pace to avoid getting past each other, because Underhill is still ahead of Salt. They may have caught up to his teammate, and they may have had some inter-team communications to say, slow this guy down. I need to get past him for the championship.
Yeah, I'm looking at their last lap time, and yeah, I think Underhill and Salt were perhaps just lapping faster, as you say. And Tom Stevens into the pits in the GT3 class. He was doing pretty well. I was crediting him for a good debut, and that's a very quick pit stop. 5 seconds, so maybe he didn't serve a slowdown? No, but that'd be a 10-second stop to go, I think. But that's a very strange instant there, maybe running out of fuel. Going on to the last lap then. The top 2 drivers. Mark Fletcher fighting for the title win. Michael perhaps a little bit further back, but really cannot count anything from happening in this championship. And the gap is 0.2 of a second across the line. You can see how 3rd and 4th still very much on the turf. These two have a collision. They will certainly pay for it. And now they are also catching up to the back markers as well.
Yeah, they have the 19 ahead of him of John Roberts. And oh, this is going to get a little bit nasty. Fletcher and Mickle, he's held him up. Here comes Mickle, though. Mickle can send one going into this hairpin. He's got a lot of the draft. He is buried in on that buffer. Both of them going defensive. Mickle going to go around the outside, laying on the brakes. Side by side they go to a switchback move, but Fletcher holding there in P1. But Mickle's on the charge once more. He's all over that Ferrari.
All he can do in this one is make Fletcher defend. I don't think he's going to be able to go around the outside here. Fletcher should have the better line, however he's putting him offline. He's staying right on his rear bumper, and maybe later on in the lap where there's better opportunities, he might be able to make the defining move for this race lead. Remember, Fletcher starts from pole position, Mickle started in second place. In fact, the top 6 in the GTE class exactly the same how they started, pretty much no overtakes. However, if he can make an overtake at this stage of the race, that stat would not matter whatsoever, because it would undoubtedly yield him the race win. Christian Mickle, he's not getting any closer. Fletcher absolutely perfect on the racing line, nailing every single exit, and the gap is still 3.5 tenths of a second. They are catching up to another back marker here.
It's all going to come down to this corner.
Yeah, Timo Winiarski, I think, who's a little bit further ahead. Is Fletcher going to get held up? He has to go to the inside. Good driving there from Timo to let them go. And Fletcher rounds the final corner, round Sunset Bend. And he is going to win race 1 at Sebring.
Little very excited on the wheel. Great win for Mark Fletcher to take the first race here at Sebring, followed up by Mickle Dance McMahon. We got a drag race now between Powell and Humphrey. It's going to be Humphrey taking it by 1/100th of a second at the line. And Salt got past Underhill. Let's go to our GT3 class, and probably the most dominant performance we've seen in the GT3 category, which is usually the more competitive category. Scott Brazier, he's leading by 16 seconds.
Wow. 11 seconds, but it's still a massive gap, and he wins race 1 comfortably to Scott Brazier. That's another race win for him. I believe that's his 4th race win of the season. And as I frantically check the points, might even send him to the top of the stand. He was already top with drop scores counted. Credit to Hortel finishing in 2nd place. And then Horder in 3rd place. Championship leader, but that is still some decent points collected. And it's always race 2 where you can have the big swing of points. Just instance that much easier to get involved in. And that is race 1 then at Sebring. Almost completed, just the last few drivers about to cross the line. It's got the likes of Stevens, who of course had to pit right at the end. Also got Leggett versus Woodburn, with Stevens catching up to them big time. Woodburn's just made a mistake. Oh, well, that's into the wall for Stevens. That might be a 4X. Fortunately, it's only a straight to go, and he does cross the line. Does Tom Stevens on his debut, and John Tressida. We'll just see in the background, I think, going through Sunset Bend. He will be the last driver to cross the line. Here he is. Reverse out, of course. Reverse grid wheels coming up in just a moment. And could have some pretty big reverse grids, potentially. Could remix up the action. So, winner of the GTE class then for race 1 at Sebring. I believe round 11 of the championship, even round 13 of the championship. Mark Fletcher wins out by 0.2 of a second ahead of Christian Mickle. Cam Dance within 1 second of the lead in the end. Tom McMahon right on his tail as well in 4th place. Lewis Bibby had a little bit of a lonely event in 5th. There was Bob Humphrey, and Powell just beats him by 0.01 of a second across the line. James Salt finishes in 8th place, getting the better of Simon Underhill. There's Andrew Brown, Jason Hodgson, Kev Copeland, Tiago Loureiro, and Joseph Saul, the retiree there, Seb Rowe, the only proper retiree of the entire race. Then in the GT3, Scott Brazier, dominant performance from him, 11 seconds clear of Ignacio Hortel. Mike Horder rounds out the podium. There's Bod Boland, Anthony Pisano, Jacko Boschov, Justin Martz, Rob Sutherland, Craig Jones, Ryan Walker, Dave Petts, Sean Gardner, James Leggett, Lee Woodburn, Tom Stevens, John Chester, Timosk Winiarski, John Roberts, and Adam Hedgecock. All those drivers will be eligible for the reverse grid, which, Sam, I think is about to be on our screens.
Yes, it is. The wheel is on your screen right now, and let's spin it. Okay, so first we will be getting the GTE, that is 15, and for the GT3s we get the full reverse.
So that means it's a full in both, because there's only 14 eligible drivers in the GTE class, which means that Joseph Saul will be on pole position, Tiago Loureiro alongside him on the front row of the grid. And if it's a full in the GT3s, that means Adam Hedgecock will be on pole position. Could be very good for his championship there after a disappointing race one, crashing out of course. But still finished within 1 lap of the GT3 race leader, and so he'll be eligible for that. John Roberts starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. So, race 1, very entertaining. Race 2, I am sure, will be doubly as entertaining. You do not want to miss it. Catch it in about 20 minutes time in this, the Apex Racing League American GT Championship.
To the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Race lead to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside as Trunke goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though. Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the Parabolka. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the Parabolka. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schubert, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
outside wall.
Gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside as Trunkett goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I tried, there's contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schubert, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing League American GT Championship. We are preparing for race 2 of this evening. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, back alongside me. Covering this race 2 is Austin Knight with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Austin, we saw a good race 1. Not a whole lot of overtakes, particularly at the front of the GTE class and in the GT3 class. It was a runaway victory in the end. But I think in this race 2, 2 full reverse grids, about 15 cars in each. It's going to be tough for those top guys to get back to the front to convert to double.
Yeah, you got to pass about 13 other cars to get back up to the front of the grid. It's going to be a very entertaining battle up through the grid, but hey, we've seen some crazy things happening in this league, so a last to first challenge in these 40 minutes, I'm clearly ready for it.
Absolutely. Could be an enthralling race. This one, apologies to the judges for the session coming up a little bit late, and apologies to the fans as well for this session going up a little bit late. Had a few issues. However, it will surely be worth the wait, because on pole position in the GTE class is Joseph Saul. Tiago Loureiro starts in second place. Then it's Kev Copeland, Jason Hodgson, Andrew Brown. Watch out for him, certainly. So too Simon Underhill and James Salt. Then we've got Aaron Powell, Bob Humphrey, Lewis Bibby, Tom McMahon, Cam Dance, Christian Mickle, and race 1 winner and championship leader, I believe, Mark Fletcher, starting down in 14th place. In the GT3s, Adam Hedgecock is the pole sitter. Already won a race so far this season, who has Hedgecock, so really watch out for him in that position. John Roberts starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then it's John Tressida, Tom Stevens, Lee Woodburn, James Leggett, Sean Gardner, Dave Petts, Ryan Walker, Craig Jones, Rob Sutherland, Tristan Marks, Jacko Boshoff, Anthony Pisano, Bod Boland, Mike Horder, Ignacio Hortel, and Scott Brazier. Once again, the race 1 winner, starting right at the back of the field as the drivers are about to get underway. Apologies, I'm not sure if we got the... Oh dear, we don't have the Mustang pace car.
Come on,
Apologies,
Sam.
everyone. You realise I make like a special effort every single race to have the Mustang because it's the proper pace car. I despised iRacing for using the Porsche instead. However, we're going to cover your eyes till this formation lap is over because we haven't got the Mustang at the front. However, I'm sure it'll be back for a triumphant return at Daytona in 1 week's time.
Just shipping it early. Hey, at least we got the GT3s behind the GTEs this time.
Oh yeah. Only once this season have I made that mistake, alright?
And it was crazy.
It caused a good race. I think many drivers will disagree with that statement, but we move on to this race too. I mean, Joseph Stoll, a driver who's stuck around for the majority of this season. It must be said, he's a consistent driver. It seems, Austin, but he's going to be able to keep the likes of Loureiro and Copeland behind, who we know are very quick drivers who have got podiums so far this season.
It's going to be difficult to keep anyone behind you since it is a reverse grid. The slower drivers are at the front, the fast drivers are at behind. Crazy chaos can happen from there. But some good things, yeah, because they're all battling at the back of the field. The guys at the front can run away with this.
Yeah, that first lap going to be really important for these guys. Of course, very tight and twisty those first few corners are, so it's not the easiest track to make up lots of places. So we see the top two from race one, leaving a little bit of a gap. They've got that luxury. So it will be fascinating to see if Fletcher can get past Mick straight away, because they were really evenly matched in race one. No overtakes between the pair of them. So that start could be very important. And of course, I imagine they'll be working together marginally to get their way to the front. In terms of the GT3 class, of course, you weren't here last week, Austin, but Adam Hedgecock did win race 2 at Watkins Glen only just last week and had really good pace. However, after that spin in race 1, not quite sure what's going to happen for him today.
Yeah, he gave us a message over the break saying that he was having trouble with the setup of his car. I'm sorry if I said he was driving a Mercedes. He's actually driving a BMW. I have more experience driving the Mercedes around. But yeah, he said that this car, this track combination is like driving on ice. So he's looking forward to a better race this time and maybe done some adjustments to the setup to keep it all four wheels planted on the ground.
Absolutely, 36 degrees track temperature. Wasn't quite sure what the track temperature in race 1 was. However, it was probably quite similar. Track should get a little bit cooler over the course of this 40-minute race. There's time for the front runners to get their way to the front, but whether or not they'll do so is a whole nother matter. What can Fletcher do from last position? What can Brazier do from last position? We're about to find out. The Porsche safety car pulls away, hanging back a little bit is Joseph Stoll. It's his decision when to pull away. Usually a bit of an advantage here at Sebring to be on pole position, and Stoll puts his foot down straight away, trying to cover off is Thiago Loureiro, way behind the race leader today, and Loureiro's going to be under big pressure from Kev Copeland. Will Copeland be able to go for a bit of a dive down into turn 1? I don't think he can do. Good start for Underhill. He gets up one place. Apologies, that's Brown going up one place. Good start for Saltz as well, gaining a couple of positions as well. In the GT3s, Adam Hedgecock now getting underway. Thought Roberts may have just got ahead of him there, but Hedgecock getting on the power much earlier, taking a very wide line, and he pulls sprinting away, half a second ahead already. Leggett going past Woodburn. It seems like that odd side of the grid has got a pretty good start. Lots of cars side by side further down the order. However, once again, we've had quite a clean turn 1. 2 by 2, they go into turn 2, easy to outbrake. So I think that's Ryan Walker almost going into the back of one of the boosted cars, but he negotiates that pretty well and then has to back out of a move against the Ferrari.
There's contact already in the GT3 field. There's the car on its roof. Jason Hodson parked upside down on the... Where was that? It's a GTE field, and it just gets caught up in there, then sent onto his roof. That is extremely unfortunate for Jason Hodson.
I think he even made contact with his own teammate Mark Fletcher in all of that. I think it was car number 13 who gave him the initial push, which was Aaron Powell. However, I don't think that was probably a penalty. may well have to investigate that after the race. Mickle wide. This is big. He cannot afford to get overtaken by Fletcher, and he just about stays ahead. However, does he have a slowdown to serve? He was well and truly on top of the curb. However, he's still going flat out. These two a little bit detached after getting involved in that collision. But after one lap, it's Loureiro leading the way ahead of Copeland. So issues for Joseph Saul then.
Yeah, both of them have damage. Mikel and Fletcher, both these guys have damage. And they're falling away from the rest of the field. They both have identical damage too. A few cars ahead of them also having bent front bumpers and everything. That would be Cameron Dance sending up onto the inside of Pallel. And Dance does have the same bent front bumper.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what happened to Sol on this opening lap. However, maybe he was just a little bit low on confidence. Perhaps this is perhaps a replay which will show us. So he was already dropping down a couple of places, and I think this lost him a few more places on top of that.
There's a big lockup heading into that corner. How did he get that damage? Well, that's how. Big old slide getting to the side of that Euro SV car. That's why I picked up that small amount of damage on his right side. So the Ferraris in this field are really beat up.
Yeah, they sure are. Incredible queue of drivers at the moment. We've literally got everyone from second down to 13th, all in a queue. Oh, big crash in the GT3 field. We've got Boland and Sutherland and Martz. In the same corner, we saw incident in the GTE class on lap 1. And that's big for Justin Martz, one of the front runners in the GT3 AM Championship. And I imagine he's probably going to be slingshotted by someone further back here.
Oh! Big collision in the GT3 field. Tristan Martz turned in. Unfortunately, turned in on one of the long noses of the Mercedes cars.
Yeah, Ryan Walker was involved in that one. Certainly the initial contact, and then, yeah, a couple of others getting involved. Look at this, 2x2 across the start-finish line. This is on lap 3, and Andrew Brown has got ahead of Kev Copeland. They're now 3 seconds off the lead. Look at that, that's almost 4 wide. That's a mega tight line for Bibby, perhaps that was. I'm not quite sure. Maybe even Dance. A couple of them running very wide now. Either SR driver or James Salt's running very wide, and he's now going to get overtaken by Cam Dance. He's pulled off a couple of sublime moves. We'll have to get a replay perhaps after the race of his on board at the opening of this lap, because he is scorched past a few drivers. Salt now losing a lot of places. He was running, I think, even in the top 3 at one point, but he's now going to be overtaken by his own teammate. They've got to be careful not to break themselves. Dance is making another move, and now going down the inside was Salt, and McMahon gets involved as well.
Copeland gets thrown out of the bunch and down into P13. That entire GTE field is like a swarm of bees. And it was just insane watching these guys going down that front straight. They're still so close to each other, and another car gets turned around. That's McMahon.
It is. Big championship repercussions this. As well is Kev Copeland with serious damage.
Yeah,
Lots
Copeland.
of contact.
He's going to have to hop off and retire, as well as McMahon. Couldn't control his car in the braking zone. Back to the front of the GT3 field. First and second, Roberts and Hedgecock at the front, and they're pretty much flying away from Stevens and the rest of the gang. It's completely opposites. GT3 is more spread out than the GTE field.
Yeah, Roberts getting past Hedgecock then. So that's a change for the lead. However, they are probably working together, are the two boosted motorsports drivers. They are 3.5 seconds ahead of Tom Stevens, Nance Chester, Leggett, Hetz. Good start for Pisano, Horder up quite a few places as well, so too Brazier. Not a great start for Boschov in their Walker, of course, losing a few places after that big collision. And in terms of the retirees, it looks like Copeland, McMahon and Hodgson all out of the race. Craig Jones now spinning around. He was doing pretty well.
Very well. Craig Jones is up there near the leaders. Just get all that curve. Oh, back end just catches out. It's a light tap in the wall, not a massive tap. going to give him some damage, but I think he should be good to go.
Grazier then gains a position from that. By the way, fast lap of the race in the GTE set by Andrew Brown. Purple lap time for him. Also, James Salt and Lewis Bibby going side by side. Also, Horder going side by side with Pisano and Pets only just behind as well. Horder can't get past on that occasion. Both these guys started very near the back of the GT3 pack, so could be turn out to be one of the fights for perhaps the podium. Certainly got the pace to gain plenty more positions. However, they've got to get past James Leggett very soon.
Yeah, no crazy moves happening into this hairpin. So much action, and there's only been 7 minutes of racing so far. The GTEs are back in a swarm from 5th to 9th place again right now. And I think they're going to go insane. Wait on the move. Pisano edging his nose into there. Trying to pressure a move from Leggett. Leggett tried anything he can, but Pisano and Horder are there. And here comes Horder on Pisano. Pisano actually blocking Horder just a little bit. Right on board with Mike Horder. Look at late entry into that corner.
Oh,
A lot of different lines. A late move. Here goes Pisano swinging ahead of Leggett, and here comes Horder.
Yeah, mistake there from Leggett. That was strange. Must have just completely had a mistake on corner entry. Now Leggett has the slipstream. Lifts out of it. Probably wise thing to do. These are quicker drivers than him. And if he could get a top 10, that would be a good result for, I believe, a driver in his first ever race in this series. In the GTEs, has anything changed? I think Christian Mickle has now got past James Salt. Mark Fletcher a little bit further behind. Look at this. They're still going side. Now the Evo SR judge. They've got to decide who's going to go ahead. And now they make contact. And that was not a whole lot of space being left there by James Salt, squeezing his teammate, Bob Humphrey, on the inside. We saw a couple of drivers coming together in the Race Tech UAV8 Supercar Series yesterday, right at the end of race 2, and that denied them perhaps a 1-2 victory, and instead a driver from another team managed to win the race. Well, that was almost a very similar pattern.
Yeah, the Young Academy driver.
So.
Oh, time to hoard hell.
This is Boshoff, I think he's racing.
Oh, number 50.
Sutherland, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Sutherland. And Sutherland's got a lot of damage on that car.
You've raced the Mercedes in the past. Would that damage be affecting his performance too much? Will it be affecting him at all around the corners, and how much will it affect him down the straights?
It's going to be more of a straight line effect in this. The Mercedes is built like a tank. You can rough up the car a little bit, and it will not affect the performance a lot. But with the amount of that hood is bent for it, it's definitely going to be affecting his front end performance, but not by a whole noticeable lot. You can rough up Mercedes pretty much and keep it in there.
Change for the lead once again. Amongst the teammates, Edgecock back to the front, gets past John Roberts. They're not pulling away too much from Tom Stevens. This is really the point in the race where they need to be pulling away, because the top of the front runners as such, I mean, to be fair, these top two are kind of front runners, but then the next front runners as such are Horder, who's about 6 seconds behind them already. So a nice gap being built by those guys. This is Loureiro going side by side with Andrew Brown. Apologies, with Cam Dance. And this is for the lead. So Dance has taken the lead from Thiago Loureiro. 11 places gained. Remarkable driving from the car number 27. And now Andrew Brown will be next up on him. It seemed like Loureiro had about a second of an advantage. So perhaps a mistake for him at the hairpin.
Yeah, definitely a mistake may have happened. But Cameron Dance, what a performance already to be back in the lead. Goes a little bit off track there. But this GT3 field up at front is insane.
And of course, with Dance, with Dance doing so well, and then Fletcher struggling out there, currently only running in 9th place, we think with damage as well. And with the issues for Tom McMahon, Cam Dance could perhaps bring himself back into the championship fray. 3rd place in the championship going into this round. When you include the drop scores, quite a bit detached from the top 2. However, really can change significantly. At the moment, he'd be outscoring Fletcher by about 18 points, I believe. And that would really reduce the gap quite significantly. So going well at the moment for Cameron Dance.
Yeah, I can make a big hit into the championship. Cameron Dance looking to improve that as much as he can, and probably wishing a lot of chaos happened in the GTV field. Might be wishing for a little bit of chaos and wreckage to happen behind him.
Tom McMahon, by the way, out of the race. These drivers, as Brown outbreaks himself. These drivers do have a faster pair to use, as long as I set it up correctly. I did. So yeah, these drivers do have a faster pair to use at their disposal. However, deciding not to use it there was McMahon. He is out of the race, will not score any points, and that might just be his championship challenge over, unless something happens to Mark Fletcher. And of course, disappointing for McMahon because he it missed a round earlier on in the season, so this will not count as his job score. It will well and truly count for him. Yeah, very disappointing day for the British GT champion, of course, hoping to make it pretty much defending his championship, but yeah, not looking too good for him at the moment. Here is Fletcher, getting onto the back of the likes of Humphrey. Also Salt's involved, and Mickle just a little bit further ahead. But a little bit of damage on that car, to be fair, but it doesn't look too bad.
Now, see a little bit of damage on the front left and also in the rear part of the car. He may have got bumped in one of the corners, but Fletcher, with that stricken car, can't keep up with the rest of the guys. You see him closing in all the corners, but on the straight, he's just dropping away.
I'm sure the Evo SR drivers may want to help Thiago Loureiro. That's probably not what they're thinking at the moment. They're thinking about racing on another big slide. And can Fletcher take advantage of this? Gets to the inside, does Humphrey nice and quickly. But Fletcher go round the long way. Humphrey's got the better line though for turn 4 potentially. Is there contact between them? There is, and that's Mickle round as well. Bibby, apologies.
Bibby, Fletcher, and Humphrey. All 3 of these cars getting turned around, but Fletcher had nowhere to go. And Humphrey came up on them, and they just got into each other up onto the curb. And Fletcher turns him around. Here's what happened to Lewis Bibby. That was Andrew Brown. It almost exactly what we just seen between these 2 cars.
Really was. That was the battle for 3rd place as well. I was about to say during that side by side we saw with Fletcher how the 3rd place had changed, but no, Brown stays ahead then. That is great disappointment for Lewis Bibby, a driver who hasn't had a whole lot of luck so far this season. Really should have won a round this season, but I don't believe he has. Really, he is one of the absolute fastest drivers in the series, as exhibited in the World GT Championship last season, and finishing certainly in the top 10 in those standings. So instead, that's pretty good for the race leaders then, for Bibby to be out of the equation. It's Dance leading Loureiro, Brown running out the podium, then it's Underhill, Mickle, Salt and Fletcher now up into 7th place. Very profitable lap that was for him. Breezy getting past Horder, by the way. That's very significant. Scott Breezy is absolutely flying around here, and that was a big move. Unfortunately, I think we missed that one. But that's for the championship as well, because Horder 2nd place in the championship. And Breezy getting past, up 17 places overall. And I think that's even up 16 places just within his own class. Ridiculous driving. I don't think we've ever seen a driver quite this dominant all season long, Austin.
Yeah, especially at this track, he's just on a completely different level. Scott Brazier is, and he's got more than half the race left. He can challenge for the lead.
Definitely. don't think he's had a double all season as the car number 55. However, he is only 6 seconds off Adam Hedgecock, and he's lapping about a second a lap faster at the moment. Hedgecock does a 2-minute 1.5. Brazier, I think with an overtake included, a 59.98. So yeah, 1.5 seconds faster. So yeah, literally could be at the half an hour mark, and he could be in the lead.
Only driver in the GT3 field in the 159s. All the others, 2 minutes, 2 minutes ones. Scott Brazier can definitely challenge for the lead at the end of this race.
Now looking at the race winners stats, Alessandro Dalladone did get a double race win at Laguna Seca earlier on in the season. However, Brazier has got a race 1 win at Road America, and then a race 2 win at Road Atlanta, and then also a race 1 win at Watkins Glen last week as well. And of course a race 1 win earlier on. So 4 race wins. This would be his 5th and his first double of the season as well. Dave Petz currently battling away with Bod Boland. He gets past there. I don't know if Boland's been involved in a collision because he's 13 seconds behind Grazer, despite starting well ahead of him. And he's now got quite a big gap.
But the sky has got very darker on the track. May have just been me, but I think the clouds have arrived on the track and the track started to cool off.
My low sky / clouds option on my iRacing will probably forbid me from witnessing that. It's still 37 degrees, by the way, but watch out for.
This is Brown and Underhill. The two Fords drive with each other. They got a slow car ahead of them. I believe it was just Salt, and he gets onto the curb, big old side, locks it up, almost drives back into the line of another car, and drops a few places. And that car passing him right now is Mark Fletcher. He's going to be very happy seeing these cars being taken out of contention and getting out of the way in front of him.
Yeah, they're just paving the way for him at the moment. He hasn't made too many overtakes as Mark Fletcher. He's been involved in a crash already with his own teammates, and yet he finds himself in 6th place at the moment. And Cam Dance is going to win this race, as it certainly looks as though he is going to. He needs to lose as few points as possible. So Rob Sutherland now making a move. We've seen, I think, already a collision for Sutherland at this Bay corner. However, Ryan Walker, good job by him, sticking around the outsides. And Tristan Martz as well, who I think got involved in a crash, I swear did Martz. And
yeah, Martz was turned around earlier on in the race at this corner, and Walker goes very wide. Might have some damage into his brakes because he just completely missed that corner, and he gets overtaken by Sutherland and Martz. Yeah, I can see the damage on Martz's front nose.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the other drivers who could win perhaps the GT3 championship. Martz, of course, the championship leader going into this round, and then in second place behind him going into this round was Rob Sutherland, with Dave Petz pretty close to them. Oh, off the circuit and into him. That is Dave Petz. That's a miracle save though, and both of them haven't lost too much time. That'll be a slowdown for Hortel. That was just a complete mistake from him, and he's now serving a slowdown. I wouldn't be surprised if he lets Petz past as well, because he certainly did not wish to make contact there, just completely lost control of his car.
Yeah, that was just a very crazy incident in the braking zone. Back end kicked out.
And it now means that we've got the top 3 in the championship in the GT3 AM category, all fighting against one another on the same piece of track. So certainly worth keeping an eye out on that one. Only one round of the championship to go, remember. Next week at Daytona will not be a night race because it's completely unnecessary to have it at a night race. It's always incredibly frustrating when Motegi, literally whenever we visit it, it's always at night. Why it's at night? Because it has floodlights, unlike some other circuits. Apologies, rant over. But basically, night on broadcast looks very bad. I don't know what your opinions are on that, Austin.
As a night, I always look good on a broadcast, but I think we're talking about the time of day. I said it looked pretty good, just as long as the track has good enough lighting.
I guess, yeah. Unfortunately, Motegi has horrendous lighting. But there you go. I'll start a rant in the YouTube comments. There's Underhill and Loureiro.
Oh, great
This
move
is
by
for second
Underhill.
position.
Underhill, Laurel, and Miguel. All three of these cars in a battle, close battle. Miguel skidding up in there with Laurel. He's got his nose in there, and he's got it into P3. But look for Laurel to get onto the charge once more.
In the background, Fletcher's got past Salt, so he'll be catching up to these guys very quick. Oh, that's deep on the brakes for Loureiro. I don't think that was meant to be an overtaking move. However, he was just really late on the brakes and nearly managed to do so. Had to get out of it. Oh, was just about pulling ahead there was Mikkel Klee. Got told by his spots that he was clear. Now he's going defensive. Not a whole lot of straight line speed for that Texan Spitslow Motorsport driver with the damage he's got. But as long as he can stay ahead around this complex of corners, he should be home and dry. Now 6 seconds ahead of Cam Dance. I seriously do want to watch back that end of lap 2, starts of lap 3 for Cam Dance at the end of the race perhaps, or if we have a slightly dull moment in this race. Because I think he gained about 6 places in a handful of corners. Made it 4 wide, I think, at one point into turn 1. This works out for him. He's 6.5 seconds out in the lead at the moment.
It was just absolutely insane and a wonderful move to enjoy and watch.
Would be his first win of the season as well. I'm going all statisticky because we have lots of statistics to use now. Now that we're at this point of the race. Only drivers to have won races so far this season are Van Liesnoord, McMahon and Mikkel, and Lotterman as well. So would be a new race winner. Apologies, is that Fletcher's first? Yeah, so it was Fletcher's first race win as well of the season. I did not realise that. So we're going to have 2 new race winners, despite the fact that they are extremely competitive. But finally getting their moment in the sun. Tristan Martz and Rob Sutherland. I think Martz has just got past Sutherland then. Yeah, he has. So that's very significant. Championship leader. And now he can set his sights on Dave Petz, who has been able to pull away a little bit from them in the last couple of laps since that big slide for Petz at this corner.
Yeah, Petz being a lot more solid at this corner, but it's not as fast as he was used to. No real damage on that car that we could see, but he is slowing up after that incident with Hortel.
Leggett under big pressure from Chessida and Boland currently. Boland just making a bit of a mistake, I think, through Sunset Bend, or maybe taking an alternative line. I saw that gap go down to about 0.2 of a second, and all of a sudden it's back up to about 1.5 seconds. Bennett having an awful run down the pit straight as they move on to lap 13. Will it be maybe unlucky for one of these drivers? Leggett has barely lost any places from his start. Remember, a debutante in this series. Oh, that's a massive slide. Got on the curb, did Chessida. Fortunately for him, after that poor Sunset Bend for Boland, he wasn't close enough to capitalise. The MBS driver driving right on the limit. Ignacio Hortel as well, only 2 seconds behind these guys, lapping on that last lap about 2.5 seconds faster than Chessida. Chessida dropped into the 2-minute 3s on that last lap. Just for a reference, we've been seeing 59s earlier on in the race from Scott Brazier. By the way, Brazier's got past Roberts. I think we missed that one.
Yeah,
that
we
has
did.
happened this lap.
Yeah, Brazier got past Roberts, and he is in P2. And he is just 2 seconds away for challenging the lead from Adam Hedgecock.
Insanely good driving today from Scott Brazier. absolutely dominant in this class, and like we were saying before, his chance for a first double of the season at the 6th attempt. Hedgecock did win race 2 at Watkins Glen, of course. However, he's going to be under massive pressure, not even half an hour into this race. And already nearly the comeback is complete. You'd expect him to be onto the back of him by the end of this lap, because on lap 13, it was a 2-minute 1.26 for Hedgecock, 2-minute 0.63, so a little bit closer than it has been, but down to 1.3 seconds now, the gap.
Brazier's already closed up that 2-second gap to 1.15 seconds. Brazier, Hedgecock, and Roberts, all these guys very close to each other, but Brazier in that pace is just on a different world, especially through these corners. That Audi is definitely at home here at Sebring.
Yeah, if this was just after the Sebring 12 hours, you could kind of explain why he's so quick, but that sets up undoubtedly very good. And, well, it'd be great to have an interview with Scott. I don't think we usually do get an interview with Scott, but, I mean, of all the occasions, could win 2 races tonight. That would certainly be a good excuse to come to have a chat with us. And, of course, if any drivers are watching this back, perhaps preparing for the final round of the season, do have a chat with us, especially after Daytona, because it'd be fantastic to get your assessment of your own seasons and a little bit of feedback perhaps for next season in terms of perhaps what format we decide to put on. Mark Fletcher, he has got past Thiago Loureiro now. However, Loureiro with a much better straight line speed, with that far cleaner car, might try to come back at him. Fletcher not defending. Seen so many drivers go into the back of one another today, just as the nature of these corners at Sebring, it seems. Not on that occasion for the Euro SR driver, who may well be overtaken by his teammate James Salt now.
Yeah, the Euro SR driver is itching at, well, chewing at the bit, really, trying to get past Fletcher, as well as Brown, who's on the back of this train. Fletcher with that damage, it's going to be a big old leader of this train.
A few of these packs in both classes all of a sudden getting very close at this point of the race. Usually see them separating, but perhaps just a few quick drivers catching up to maybe one slower driver, and it's created a few trains in both classes. Getting off tracks are these drivers, I think, do that part of the track, or at least our system recognizing those off tracks. As yeah, they are.
Battle for the lead in GT3. Brazier has caught up onto the gearbox of Adam Hedgecock, and he is looking ready to make a move very soon.
If we wanted to make this day even better for Scott Brazier, how many incidents do you reckon he's accumulated?
0.
Yep. Absolutely perfect. That will get him 1 bonus point as well if he can finish with 0 incidents, which kind of suggests that he hasn't even been pushing to his limit, that he's been limiting it to maybe 70-80% his pace. And even then, with many minutes to go in this event, 10 minutes to go almost, it looks like he's about to take the lead.
Right on the bumper of Adam Hedgecock as they're racing down the back straight. Brazier is going to opt for the outside line. He's going to maybe go for a switchback move on Hedgecock. As here we go into the final quarter. It was a attempted switchback, but Hedgecock's been holding that inside line as they race onto the front straight with 10 minutes to go here at Sebring.
I was saying earlier on how there's not an easy overtaking spot here. However, there are a few possible overtaking spots, and that can really suffocate the defending driver, where you pretty much have no relief. You have no opportunity to cool down, to think, this guy can't get past me around this part of the circuit, because there are plenty of opportunities. The next one coming up at the hairpin, even that one, you can go for a bit of a surprise attack, or they expect Scott Brazier to take his time about this one. There is not much rush unless Hedgecock can pull off some incredible defensive moves over the next couple of laps. Brazier is getting in range.
He was looking for it, but Hedgecock was also looking for it as well. They both went into the same line. Hedgecock defended from a move right there, and Brazier is all over the gearbox of Adam Hedgecock. It's time to play some mind games with him, try to force a mistake.
BMW has got superb brakes. That's what Hedgecock has got to hang on to. I don't think there's too much source of hope for him right now. But yeah, that BMW does get stopped in a hurry. And also maybe deals with the curves a little bit better than the Audi. However, the Audi should be a little bit faster down the straights. And Crazy has undoubtedly got that car dialed in through the corners. Hedgecock trying to cut those couple of pretty much non-corners as much as he can. Runs perhaps a little bit wide. Tighter line for Hedgecock. It's opening the line for Brazier. He just has to get out of the throttle, I think, mid-corner there. Compromised his run. The gap's still 0.2 of a second. But it takes him about half the straight in order to gain anything. It certainly suggests as though he's running a high downforce setup. And you can't really go for a dive into Sunset Bend. I mean, to be fair to Hedgecock, even if he does get overtaken here, Austin, he's put up a better fight than pretty much everyone else in this class.
Oh yeah, Brazier has just flown by the rest of the field. And Hedgecock has been putting a great defense here. It may be that this is a battle for the lead, and Brazier knows that if he makes a more aggressive move, it's not going to look pretty, especially on it's for the lead. But he gets a great run coming out of turn 1, heading into turn 2 into the braking zone. Brazier sends it up the inside and gets it in one corner entirely. Your new leader, once again, Scott Brazier, the GT3.
Absolutely brilliant. I thought that the move wasn't going to be on there, but just again, a few opportunities to overtake around this circuit, and that was one of them. He took it. Here comes Hedgecock, though. Will he come back? He has to get back straight away if he's going to have a chance. He's a little bit more hairy through these few corners than he has been. But yeah, I mentioned before how, is it Brown? Or someone having a bit of a spin. Also, has Fletcher had an off? No, apologies. Fletcher's up into second place then.
Fletcher's
Chester dropping down.
But John Trester is the one that spun around.
Mikkel as well getting a slow down. Oh no, that's big damage for Mikkel. How's he done that? I mean, I don't see a wall particularly close to the track around that part of the circuit, so you got a
replay may have been car on car. Simon Underhill may have been a part of it. Oh, yep. Simon Underhill spins and Mikkel, hard contact, trying to avoid that car. And you can see Mikkel already struggling with the car's suspension off of that exit. And that's given Mark Fletcher to get up into P2.
I mean, Christian Mikkel, Mr. Unlucky out there, could have got a podium at Watkins Glen 1 week ago, and he should have got a podium today as well. Not going to be for him. As Fletcher, as you say, up into second place. Damage limitation. Dance is only going to take 6 points out of his championship lead, which is an absolute miracle. As we see what happens to James Salt.
Yeah, James Salt, top runner in the amateur class, loses to a few points for Simon Underhill, who's sitting at 6th right now.
Imagine a few protests being submitted by the drivers out there. Andrew Brown just gave a little bit of a tap there. Certainly, obviously not deliberate, but just we're seeing that so often. It's weird how we've seen that so much today, Austin. Just drivers in a queue, really close to one another, and just being surprised how early the driver in front of them brakes, and just giving them a bit of a tap.
Well, on a track that's so tight, bumpy, and just crazy to control a car, you see that a lot here at Sebring. And drivers brake a lot earlier here than you would expect normally. And it just catches some people off guard, and unfortunately get incidents like we've been having today.
So a recap of the top 3 in both of your classes. Cam Dance leading the way by 12 seconds ahead of Mark Fletcher. Thiago Loureiro rounding out the podium there. I would expect them to stay relatively stable. Brown still putting up a decent fight against Loureiro. That last lap was 0.4 of a second faster, so could perhaps see those two go side by side later on. Then it's Bibby. Great recovery from Lewis Bibby after an issue in the very early stages, I believe. He's ahead of Underhill. And it's Powell, Humphrey, Saltz, and Saul. Pole sitter, feels like a while ago that. Running out the top 10, and then we've got the GT3 cars. So I think 4 GTE retirements. Scott Brazier leads by 3.5 seconds over Adam Hedgecock. John Roberts rounding out the podium. There's Horder, Pisano, Stevens, Boschop, Boland, and Hortel. There is Brazier in the insane gap. He's already pulled on the 2 boosted drivers. But good points for the boosted drivers after this.
Yeah, Brazier still clean here today, putting in another purple lap. He could just cruise on because that gap to Hedgecock is starting to go back up again. It's already up to 3.5 seconds.
I didn't quite appreciate before how close the championship is in the GT3 standings. We've got boosted Motorsport into this round with 340 points. Last Minute Racing with 339 points. So really close between those guys, but undoubtedly boosted opening that gap up. If the results end like this, boosted SimSport a little bit further behind. James Leggett coming back now at some of his rivals. That was an attempted... Oh, Sutherland's and Metz.
What
Top
has
2 in
happened
the
here?
championship.
Chris Martins and Sutherland going side by side into this corner. They both come together. Yes, they do. Just gets onto the back wheel, blocks the track, and Martins stops.
Yeah, he's trying to let past Sutherland back, but then realizes that he has to go a little bit further around the corner. That's good sportsmanship from Martz.
Good sportsmanship. Not the best place to stop, though.
No. Mega advantageous then for Dave Petts. Always side by side between the Evo guys. We've seen them very close to one another so far today, so everything's nothing's off the table here. Bob Humphrey gets past James Salt, or is that defending against Salt? He's defending against Salt at the moment. It was Humphrey who seemed to be behind Salt in race 1 and trying to get past him, and that didn't seem to happen. It's the other way around now. Salt deep on the brakes. Difficult to go down the inside at this corner because, well, you have the outside for the next one as he exhibits there.
The Young Driver Academy driver for Evo SR holding out the senior driver. James Salt unable to get past him. Salt looking for that inside line, just dancing on his rear end. But Humphrey just holding off his senior driver, showing a little bit reason why he should be signed to the bigger team for Evo SR.
Yeah, we've seen this for the entire season, and I'm sure the senior drivers will take responsibility for that. So we've nurtured these junior drivers to their best. The master perhaps becoming the apprentice on this occasion. Pulling away actually nicely there was Humphrey through Sunset Bend. They're moving on to the last lap. Already onto his last lap is Cam Dance, 12 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, en route to his first win of the season, and perhaps having a chance at the championship. However, Mark Fletcher will be the winner overall today because he's going to get a first and second. In fact, Dance finished in 3rd place in race 1, so incredible days for these two drivers, getting their first ever wins and getting some of the highest points tallies from a single meeting we've seen all season from anyone in either classes. So yeah, remarkable driving from the 27 and the 11 cars.
Thiago Loureiro has been having a hard time today, sitting in P3 and in a bit of a fight with Brown. Going off track right there. A lot of off tracks today in the GTE field and a lot of contact. I believe the penalty points are going to be a handful this week.
Yeah, I think so. As approaching the line, I think, is Cam Dance. Car number 27 for Texans Pitstone Motorsport. He rounds Sunset Bend, and he's going to take his first race win of the season. Cam Dance wins at Sebring Race 2. There is no one in sight. He absolutely dominates. 13.5 seconds clear in the end. Fletcher's coming under pressure right at the end here.
Oh no,
Brown in the wall.
spun! Brown is spun at Sunset Bend. Very dangerous corner to be turned around at, especially on the apex. Fletcher takes P2. Tiago Loreto takes P3. And Lewis Bibby gets in at 4th.
And Salt got past Humphrey as well on the last lap. Late move between the teammates, so very much keeping his reputation intact within the team there, James Salt. In the GT3s, Scott Brazier, whilst the GTEs celebrate. Pretty handy that he was quite this far behind, because he once gets a very gentle lap from. He is 7 seconds ahead. You would not guess that he starts this race in 16th place, I believe. Made up loads of places at the start, nipped off one by one each car. It never really looks in doubt for Scott Brazier. It's going to be a dominant day for him, which is going to bolster his chances at this championship win massively. Scott Brazier rounds the final corner, and to repeat his race 1 win, he wins race 2 at Sebring. Adam Hedgecock and Mike Horder. Oh, Horder's got past Roberts right at the end.
Horder sneaks it past. It's a boosted Motorsports 2, 3, and 4 at the end of this race. Good points for the boosted drivers, but Horder, he must be throwing his hands up in the air, being like, yes, I did.
Don't know if they'll see some choreography from those guys. Horder with the better chance at the championship. Could be some tactics there, because Roberts there just dropping into 4th place. But good day for Mike Horder, undoubtedly, but does lose some crucial points to his championship rival, Scott Brazier. So we can go through the final results before we have some interviews. Cam Dance wins out in the GTE class. Mark Fletcher in 2nd place, Tiago Loreto in 3rd. Then it's Lewis Bibby. Simon Underhill, I believe, top of the amateur drivers. He is really going to be in the fight for that amateur title going into the final round of the season. Aaron Powell, good performance from him in 6th. Then it's Andrew Brown, James Salt, Bob Humphrey, and Joseph Saul rounding out the top 10. And then behind that, 1 lap down was Kev Copeland, picking up a faster pair. Christian Mickle got back out on circuit, but was 4 laps down, will not score points. And then drivers who did not cross the line were Tom McMahon and Jason Hodgson. In the GT3s, Scott Brazier wins out again, 8 seconds clear of Adam Hedgecock. Mike Horder rounds out the podium. John Roberts in 4th place after leading very early on. Then was Anthony Pisano, Tom Stevens, good performance by him. Jakob Boschov, good for, well, maybe just out of the championship hunt now. Bod Bowden, good recovery from him. Ignacio Hortel had issues out there as well. Then there's James Leggett, Dave Petts, good for his championship there, ahead of Ryan Walker, Rob Sutherland, Tristan Martz, John Tressida, and Sean Gardner, the 2 retirees in that class. Lee Woodburn and Craig Jones. So, sometimes we get interviews with drivers. It would be fantastic to have a chat with a couple, and well, we are already going to be able to have a chat with one of our drivers. So we are going to talk to Mark Fletcher, who won race 1 and finished 2nd in race 2. Congratulations, Mark. Let's start with race 1. You got pole position, and then you pretty much spent the entire race just making sure that Christian stayed behind you.
Yeah, it was. Jason said to me, he said, we've got a good quality setup here. Put this on, you're going to go half a second faster than anybody else. That's exactly what happened. But yeah, got an all right start. But yeah, fair play to Christian. He just sat on my bumper, and everywhere that I started eking out a bit of a lead, I'm going through the first sector, and as soon as we got to the hairpin, he was just right back on me. But no, okay, it was a good, clean race, and just pleased that it's taken me 6 rounds to win a race.
Yeah, I was really confused at race 2 when I was suddenly looking at the race winners, and I was like, hang on, he hasn't won a race, which is remarkable considering that you're at the top of the championship. In terms of race 2, we're just watching your race start. It wasn't perfect. A bit of a collision with your teammate. That must have been your hearts in your mouth at that moment, because that could have been much more serious damage.
Yeah, Jason said, "Oh no, he's gone at the inside." And I was like, "Just keep it on." And then he just fired out the middle of this pack of cars. I was like, "Oh, here we go." But there's nothing he could have done. He was sideways and then up on his lid. So the team championship takes a little bit of a knot, but that's racing. It was another one of those let's not give up moments, and surprisingly got back up to P2.
Absolutely, and for the championship, Cam Dance may well be may well be the runner-up now, because Tom McMahon having a tricky round. I mean, you must be looking pretty good going into Daytona now. One more round to go in the championship.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Daytona, but everybody's going to be fast at Daytona because of the 24-hour. Everyone's doing a lot of practice this week. But yeah, I've raced Cam a lot of times, and the Tech Sense guys. They're all they're always really fair and everything like that. So yeah, shame for Tom, because it's been good battling with the Evo SR guys. They're all really quick.
And in terms of Daytona coming up this weekend, can we expect to see you race, and where do we expect to see you race? What split do you reckon you're going to be in?
I'm not racing this week. I've literally just finished SCO, so I'm going to have a week off. I think some of the other guys. I think we've got a couple of GT3 cars and a couple of GTE cars. So the boys will be out there, but I'll be there. I'll be there spotting for them.
Awesome. Well, best of luck for Radicals for that Daytona 24 event. Thanks for having a chat with us, Mark. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just all the normal guys, all the guys at Radicals. Jason, once again, for making my setups. The guy's a genius when it comes to setting up this Ferrari. And my sponsor, Sim Racing Studio.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Mark, and best of luck for the final round of the season.
Cheers, Sam. Good night.
So that was Mark Fletcher, race 1 winner, race 2 second place. Austin, who are we going to have a chat with next?
Well, we had race 1 winner in the GTE category, so let's bring in race number 2 winner in the GTE category. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Cam Dance.
Yeah, thank you. It was, a little bit expected to actually win that race, to be honest. I thought I was going to end up being stuck behind Mark that whole race, ended up having to be runner-up once again. But no, we managed to avoid all the incidents, keep the car clean for the most part. I think I had a little bit of contact with Mark on lap 1 after having to avoid that incident at the hairpin. But otherwise, yeah, really, really good race. Just pretty much once I got out front, it was just a matter of maintaining the gap and just putting in some nice, clean and consistent laps.
You seemed all in control in that. Race number 1, you finished P3. Race number 2, P1. Anything that was just like heart and mouth moments in that race? I know at the start of race number 2, there was a car upside down in the middle of the road. Did you have any say in that?
Yeah, race 1 went fairly all right. There was no real major moments, apart from possibly when Christian and Mark were battling with each other, and I was like, oh, please take each other out and give me the win. But no, race 2, that whole crash on the first lap, and then just cars being in all sorts of different directions. It was a little bit hectic, but managed to get through in the end, which was really, really good, and not have any damage as well, which was quite surprising considering the impact I had with Mark in that hairpin, like I said just before. So yeah, it was an interesting race, that second race, but end of the day, we're pretty much just trying to get as much points as possible to try and keep that gap to a minimum between myself and Mark in the championship. So yeah, really, really good result to come away with.
It certainly was. We have one more race left at Daytona after the 24 hours. What are your expectations for that race? Levi. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Cam, can you hear me?
Yes, Ken.
All right.
Didn't hear that last question you had, if there was one.
Okay. Yeah, I asked. Our last race is at Daytona. What are your expectations for that last race?
Not entirely sure, to be honest. I'm just pretty much going to be going straight into it, aiming to, again, maximize point scores and hope that Mark has a bad race. Obviously, Championship's looking a little bit, not quite within reach, but still anything can happen. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's just going to be a matter of trying to score as many points as possible.
All right, awesome. Before we let you go, anyone who want to shout out?
Yeah, just shout out to the guys at TechSense Fitstime Motorsport for their hard work behind the scenes, especially Christian for putting an awesome set together for this week, and obviously our sponsors, TechSense Sensors, Renval Harnesses, Fight Colorectal Cancer, Demon Tweaks, and you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast.
All right, thank you, Cam. You have a good, nice week.
Cheers, you too.
So Cam Dance there having a chat with us. A very successful day for Cam. 2 podiums, a 3rd and a 1st place finish. So of course, this is the penultimate round of the season. We've got one more round to go in the Apex Racing League American GT Championship. That will be with you next Sunday from Daytona. Of course, same timings, and all the championships very much open, particularly the amateur championships and also the pro championships and the teams championships as well. All up for grabs. Hopefully you'll join us for that one. In terms of other stuff going on Apex Racing TV, plenty of other series starting up again. It's the start of the year, of course, kinda still. We're quite a few days into it now. And we will have different championships beginning. I think World GT might be getting underway relatively soon. Of course, we've got all the official series going on. Friday night will be the NTT IndyCar series. We've got the Formula 3.5 Championship on a Saturday evening, and of course we've still got the final couple of rounds of the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship as well. That's on Thursday evenings, and that will be at Belle Isle next up. And just for reference, over 40 cars enter that championship each race, the reverse grids and everything. So that will be remarkably close, and of course a mega close championship as well. Penultimate round of the season. But hopefully you'll join us back for the season finale of the Apex Racing League American GT Championship next week at Daytona. So did I get disconnected?